So back when mirrorless cameras came out all the way back in, I actually don't know when they came out, no one really believed in Sony. Everyone was just like, oh, Sony's just like a new mirrorless camera, like they're not going to make it through or anything, they're just going to die and everyone will forget about them. But I think one of the reasons why I like Sony is because of the fact that they pushed through all that and now they're like the leading camera brand. In my opinion, I think they're the leading one. So pretty much what a mirrorless camera means is, I don't actually know what it means. I couldn't tell you the first thing about how a camera works, but I know how to use this Sony. I'm pretty much just going to sit here and tell you a couple things that I like about the camera. And if you're thinking about switching from either Canon or Nikon to Sony, these are just some of the reasons why I like it. So the digital viewfinder. If you don't know what a digital viewfinder is, it's pretty much like a normal one, but it's digital. You wouldn't have guessed it. Whenever you look into a viewfinder of a Sony, instead of it just being a piece of glass that you're looking through, you can actually see the shot. You can see all the settings. I really like it because you can see the actual exposure of the photo before you take it. Like as you put the shutter speed up, the frame will get darker and vice versa. So I really like it because of that reason. So when I'm out doing street photography, if there's a really cool shot, instead of like taking a photo and it being way too underexposed, I can just point my camera, quickly adjust the settings and then take the shot and it'll be exposed correctly. Also, it's really handy how it automatically swaps. So there is a sensor where the viewfinder is. So as you put your eye towards the viewfinder, it changes to the viewfinder mode. And then when you take your eye away, you have the screen mode. So it's just really handy like that, really easy to use. The next thing is these cameras are just small. Like they're smaller than any DSLR, they're lightweight and they look good. Like I really like the way these Sony cameras look. They're just all black. They have those orange little highlights and I just think it's cool to be able to own a camera that not only takes really good photos and is a good camera and good in the technical side of things, but also looks good. Like, so if you've been following me, you know that I love night photography. Sonys are just obviously known for their low light capabilities. And it honestly changes your photography game. Like being able to just go out into a situation where there's not much light, but knowing that you can put your ISO up beyond like 1800 and it not being completely fucked with grain is awesome. Like the fact that I know I can just use my ISO, like I can push my ISO to 10,000 if I want to do night photography. And yeah, there might be a little bit of grain, but you can get rid of that in post. Just bring the blacks up and you'll be sweet. And it also keeps that detail. Like before when I had my Nikon D750, I remember I couldn't push that past like 1200 ISO without the grain just being completely overpowering and losing a lot of detail. And also when you're shooting night, another thing is the inbuilt stabilization, which is IBIS, which I don't actually know what it stands for. IBIS. Is it inbuilt something stabilization or in-body something stabilization? Let's look this up. In-body image stabilization. There you go. It's got really good in-body image stabilization. So if I want to shoot at 1/4 of a second at night, I can do that handheld. Like if there's a tram coming, I know I can just crank that shutter speed down, hold my camera really still and just like have it on high plus shutter, which is just constantly rapidly shooting. And I know one of those shots will be not blurry. Like the tram will be blurry obviously, but like not everything else. Because when I'm out doing night photography, I don't always like to have my tripod and set up the shot. I like to just quickly see a shot, snap it, and because of that stabilization, I know that the image isn't going to be shaky. Next thing is the dynamic range. I remember when I swapped from Nikon to my Sony, I went out and I did a photo shoot and I came home, I imported all my photos into Lightroom, I clicked D on my keyboard, got into the develop tab, and as I was sliding the exposure around, I was like, holy shit, like it felt like there was just infinite amount data more compared to my Nikon. There's just a lot more room, a lot more data to play around with, which obviously comes with larger file size. Every time I take a compressed raw photo, it is 61 megabytes, but I'm a photographer. What do you expect? Just buy more hard drives. You're not always going to nail your exposure, but I don't even really worry about that. Like I know that if my image is a bit overexposed, it's all good. I'll just bring it down in post. Like I can afford to do that because I use this Sony a7R Mark IV. It's almost like a meme. Like you shoot underexposed, usually you'd think like, oh fuck, this image is underexposed. You just bring it into post, you get your exposure, you go shoom, and it looks good. There's detail there. There's no absolute grain unless you shoot really underexposed, but like it enables you to edit your photo a lot more and be able to do a lot more with your photo in terms of the colors, the exposure. Next thing is the community around Sony photographers. I feel like a lot of Sony photographers like doing night photography, and I love doing night photography, so it's just cool like whenever you meet another photographer who also likes doing the same thing as you, and then you know you both shoot on the same camera. I feel like it's when you meet someone who has the same car as you, or who's into the same car as you, just like have that immediate connection, which is cool. Also, Sony is a bit more involved with their community compared to other camera brands. Like I think Canon's really good with it. I know Sony's good, but Nikon, I don't know, I just feel like they just don't have a community, or maybe their communities is just not targeted towards me. But I don't know, what do you think? Last thing is, being a YouTuber, it's awesome that I can film. Like I'm filming on the Sony a7R Mark IV right now, but it's also my photography camera. Like Sonys are great for both photo and video. So if you're looking to get into both photography and videography, I probably wouldn't recommend jumping straight into this camera unless you have the budget, because the body is like, what is it, like 4 grand or something, 5 grand? I don't know, I can't remember, but it's fucking expensive. That's probably the one downside to Sony. Everything is just fucking way too expensive. Like it's stupidly expensive. So it's one of those things, but once you save up for it, it is worth it. Like it is 100% worth it. But I can also understand, like, you know, when you're starting photography, it's not easier to just make a couple grand and just buy a camera body. When you have recurring work and you have a lot of clients and stuff, you know, you can pay that off in a couple shoots. But when you don't have any shoots to do and you're just trying to get your first jobs, like I understand it's super hard to be able to save up for a body, and then you have to buy a lens as well. So it's hard, but if you can save up for it, it is worth it. Yeah, that's pretty much all for today's video. That's all the things I like about my Sony. Comment down your camera, what you use and what you like about it, because I'd be interested in seeing what you shoot on. But that's all for today's video. If you did like it, remember to leave a like, help me out by hitting subscribe, and as always, don't think, just do.
Repetition, shop and blaze. Like me, she my serving up every single plate. The hottest in the season, even summer looks away. Cause I got something to prove. I'm here cause I pay my dues. So please tell me something new. I'm in the